think the ones who get away are blessed, lucky. But what if the killed are the lucky ones?
Well, we like to call it a tinge of the modern Gothic, which, you know, I think is what Sarah Phelps, the screenwriter, does in spades. And, you know, there's nothing supernatural in this show. It's, you know, it's not a supernatural show, but there is, like you exactly identify, a sense of psychological sort of, modern
But there's a
Gothic.
fascination with that woven into our history, you know, storytelling and kind of mystical, superstitious qualities. Like, you know, this concept that there's just something threatening in these woods. The woods feel like they're alive in some respect. And I think that taps into an Irish interest.
See,
Rob Reilly and Cassie Maddox.
see into the trees.
The body of a young girl was found.
I work at Euston Films and we're huge crime fans, but like you say, there's plenty of crime out there. But we'd been huge fans of the Tana French novels for a long time, but the rights were tied up. So when they became available, we leapt at them with Veritas in the US and with Element Pictures in Ireland. And I think for us, what we loved about them was not only they have clearly a really strong, psychological thriller spine to them, but we love the depth of characterization to them as well. The fact that each book is so clearly narrated by one lead character and then a secondary detective, passes on the baton to become the lead detective of the next book. It felt like a really interesting format to us. We loved the sense of place, the fact that, yes, Ireland set, but really sort of on the fringes of Dublin in a way we hadn't seen before. And we love that sort of tinge. I mean, this is something Sarah Phelps, the screenwriter, really drew out, but that tinge of that sort of modern Gothic. So sort of the combination of all of that, meant that we just were really passionate about optioning the books. But then Sarah Phelps, we'd been working with before she makes she adapts the Christies in the UK annually, and so we knew she was a huge fan of crime. We knew she would, was really interested in Irish mythology and history, and we just knew she'd love the books, which she did. And then for us, the challenge was how to take these two books, which are first-person narrative and have very different stories, and blend them into an 8-part series. And that's what Sarah did, so beautifully, is dramatise their stories and interweave them and plait them across 8 episodes, so that you didn't have In the Woods for 4 episodes and The Likeness, the second book, for the second part of the series, which I think, caused Sarah much pain in the process of doing it, but she did a really beautiful job.
What's her term? She says rage-eating bread.
Rage-eating bread, yeah. Yeah.
In the middle of the night at the laptop.
I know what I'm doing.
Do you?
I don't remember there being something immediately specific. It's a very instinctive, natural response. I mean, I can't explain it too well. It's like you just read, you see a role, and immediately it just captured my curiosity, and it's almost like you're kind of delivered a little starter. You get to see a little bit of the script, and then when you start, you get to do the gig. You see the scripts, and Sarah Phelps was sort of unleashing these extraordinarily complex and rich, layered episodes on us, and I just found Rob was immediately very captivating. I think there's something about Rob, poor Rob. He's got lots of concerns about existential issues like truth and the past and identity, and he's very wrapped up in these kind of introverted concerns whilst he's trying to do his job, which is a very difficult job, which he does very well, but it's a very damaging kind of profession for him and for Cassie, Sarah Green's part. I mean, and the two of them form this bond and this partnership that's, I think, born out of the difficulties that they often have to face. And I just found that there was something enigmatic about the character that appealed to me. That for some reason I related very quickly to the Stranger or the Outsider by Albert Camus, which unfortunately Noemi has to listen to me talk about quite a lot, which is, no one should really have to do that. But there's this just kind of odd kind of philosophical quality about Rob that I found kind of interesting.
And you hadn't worked with Sarah Green before.
Me and Sarah had
you,
never
you
met,
really
no.
remember you saying
Which
you
is
really
weird for
wanted to.
Irish actors, you know, to have two that haven't met. But me and Sarah had never worked together before, and we were lucky because when we met, we just immediately had so much for free. There was a relationship there that Rob and Cassie need to have, that me and Sarah immediately just seem to have. And we work in a very similar fashion. And it was a partnership that I mean, we hope this translates onto the camera, but it was very successful in person, you know. We got on very well, and the material is, you know, Sarah Phelps' scripts are quite rich, but there's, you know, the dialogue heavy, so, you know, you start filming and you've only got a certain amount of time to get through some of these scenes, and luckily with me and Sarah, we both have a very instinctive approach, so we don't need to do too much discussion. We can kind of we just trust each other and we just play the scene, and the energy that unfolds between action and cut is the energy that unfolds, you know? It's a very natural process.
You trust me. There are things I should never have done.